let's begin in Parliament, because minority MPs are today dressed in red and black in Parliament to mourn what they say is a death of democracy in Ghana. They say they are also mourning the death of 5 Ghanaians during the just-ended polls as the House resumes sitting today following the December 7 elections. Minority spokesperson on Foreign Affairs Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa insists the NDC won a majority of 138 seats in the next Parliament.
Struggling to have it. They need him so they can get to the magic number 138. We have 138 already. Techiman South belongs to us. Senate West belongs to us. We have won convincingly. Check the presidential result, over 6,000. And we've put out the margin of victory for the parliamentary. More than 1,000 votes. More than 1,000 human beings. We have won a majority, and that majority will not be stolen. Enough of using weapons, misusing the military to overturn results. We will not accept.
The black you are wearing today, what exactly are you trying to put out with that?
We are mourning the death of democracy in our country, the discredited election that the Electoral Commission has conducted, a confused Electoral Commission, a discredited Electoral Commission, clearly in cahoots with our opponents to rig the elections and to put out numbers that don't add up. That is what we are mourning. We are also mourning the use of violence in our election, the militarization of elections in this country. We are mourning the killing of 6 unarmed civilians who were only seeking to protect their votes. We are mourning the wanton abuse of state power to arm twist, force electoral officers to declare results in the favor of the ruling government. We are saying that we will not accept this despotic and tyrannic tendency, which is unknown in Ghana. I mean, Ghana has become such a beacon of democracy. Since 1992, we have been celebrated by many, many countries. And you have read all the Observer Mission reports. The European Union, the Commonwealth, ECOWAS, they have not minced words that this election has fallen short of the litmus test. It's not transparent. Collation has been a disaster. This is not free and fair elections. These elections has been conducted in fear. The collation has been done with brute force, seeking to overturn the verdict of the people. And we are saying that we stand in solidarity with our people, with the party. We are not going to accept these results, and we demand that justice prevails. That's why we are mourning the state of our democracy. We are mourning the end of credible elections in Ghana. We are mourning the use of brute force that has led to 6 unarmed civilians losing their lives. We are mourning the attempt to deny us of a majority in the 8th Parliament, which we have won fair and square. And we are sending clear notice that we will not accept this tyrannic and despotic conduct of the New Patriotic Party working in cahoot with Diajin Mensah appointed Electoral Commission. We will not accept it.
The 2 constituencies you mentioned. Meanwhile, NPP MP for Adentan Yaboabian Samoa is insisting the NPP won a clean mandate of the people for both presidential and parliamentary
votes. That's the second most decisive win ever. So there's no doubt about His Excellency the President's win. So we are here for the long haul. The NPP is here for the long haul because the people of Ghana have accepted us, have decided that we are the ones who can run the country in the right manner. We are grateful to Ghanaians for that. Yes.
From what you've gathered so far, it's been almost 4 days. What went on?
I think the postmortem is being done internally. The party itself will do a local postmortem, and that will feed into a national. Because what we do after every election, win or lose, is to set up a committee, elections worldwide. The NPP's parallel tabulation system is state of the art. We have the data and it's up to scratch. The NDC must produce data that demonstrate that they have won an election. You don't win an election with your mouth. You don't trample the institutions of state and expect those institutions to accept your authority. If they are damning every institution, the media, the Supreme Court, every institution, over whom are they going to rule? Over whom are they going to rule? What are the instruments they are going to rule with? What instruments are their parallel government going to rely on and stand on to achieve their ends? It is too naked. It is too naked. I think it's important that the NDC resort to the ultimate, which is the Supreme Court, if they have any doubt at all, and the Supreme Court acts on evidence. The name of the game is evidence.
Yes, the two are mutually exclusive. The supporters can be on the street while they gather evidence to receive the court. Isn't that right?
To the extent that the supporters are on the streets peacefully, yes. But we hear language that threatens the stability of the state. The NDC signed up to peace in this country. We are not at war. We've just had an election. Only the numbers of the election determines who is in charge. And the EC, which is the arbiter, has determined that the numbers show that Nanado of the MPP is in charge. So if you have doubts, the emotional bit of it, managing your people, is there. Your people can be in the streets, but don't motivate them to become incendiary. Don't generate a situation which will create chaos and violence. Because if you speak violence and your people resort to violence, it ends up in a cycle that does not establish stability. If you want to rule the country, you must rule it in stability. You can't degenerate the country into violence in expectation of ruling. What are you going to rule over? You can't rule over violence. And the state is a state. The instruments of security are state institutions. They are going to use state authority to maintain stability. And therefore, the current jingoistic stance that we will not agree, we will not resort to the institutions of state, we will do what we like and we will do it with violence, doesn't become the Ghanaian democracy that we are building. The NDC is on the wrong track. Please, they should backtrack.
There's word out there that your shocking loss took you to the hospital. Is there something that, is there truth to this?
I wish I could have avoided the personal part of it, but propaganda being what it is, a rumor being what it is. I was actually in the hospital a full week before the election. Wow. I was in the hospital.
A lot has been happening in Parliament today. My colleague Joseph Opoku Gakpo joins me with some updates. Gakpo, we understand the majority leader is questioning the basis for the NDC's claims. We've also seen the minority MPs clad in black and red just to register a point. What's the latest in Parliament?
A lot of things have been happening here in Parliament. For example, the minority MPs are in red and black attire to signify what they say is a mourning of the death of democracy in the country. As Samuel Ekujeto-Ablakwa, the MP for North Tongue, puts it, they also say they're mourning the situation that we've seen with some people being shot during the elections and leading to their deaths, about 5 of them, and they think that the country's democracy is being turned upside down. And that shouldn't be the case going forward, which is why they are in the red and black. I'll speak to the Honorable Richard Koshiga, who is the MP for Keta, in a while, and speak to the Honorable Ben Abdallah, who is the MP for Ofinto South as well, in a while. But there have been opening addresses after the House resumed sitting today by both the majority leader, the minority leader, and also the Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Kuye. The minority leader repeated the point that they think that what happened, particularly in Tachiman, was out of place. He says that the NDC is not accepting the results of the election. He says the EC made unpardonable errors in the kind of declaration that was put out, and that they are to a very large extent unacceptable. When he made those points, there was a response from the majority leader, Seiche Mensah-Bonsu, who insisted that as far as he is concerned, there is no basis for this questioning. According to him, the NDC doesn't even have the necessary pink sheet, which is the official record of polls, in order to be able to come to that specific conclusion that the results were flawed to any extent. Let me engage the 2 members of Parliament on both the side of the majority and the side of the minority. Let me begin with the Honorable Richard Koshiga, who is the MP for the Keta constituency. So you're in red and black today. What's the point you're seeking to drum home? Repeatedly, the point has come up that you should go to court if you think the election was flawed, rather than the other forms of protest.
Yeah, that is true. Going to court is not going to be ruled out. But we are in red, I'm in red and black, because I'm mourning the democracy that we have so much cherished. It's obvious that some people are struggling very hard to push the democracy that all Ghanaians are enjoying into a coffin and nail it. That is what we are mourning. Again, also, we want to demonstrate that we are very much determined to ensure that our democracy lives. Because we all know too well that democracy cannot survive on the whims and caprices of unfairness. And it is clear, even in the court of public opinion, that this election was won by the NDC, both the presidential and at the parliamentary level. And that obviously will clearly be demonstrated with the evidences that we have so far gathered or are still putting together in shape.
When are you getting to court to actually prove that?
I cannot tell you clearly at this point when we're going to court, because obviously we have legal minds who are working on all these things. But then, looking at it carefully from the point of view of an ordinary person, which is the talk of town, I mean, on the lips of any Ghanaian, it's so vivid, so clear that there is a grandiose agenda to steal the mandate of the people, you know, to really demonstrate a tyrannical approach in governing this nation. But that ought not to be, because those who are struggling very hard to perpetuate that, you know, benefited from the free, transparent atmosphere of democracy, which enabled them to be in the coxswain, or the captains in the coxswain. And so we asking and calling on President Nana Akufo-Addo, you know, to reflect critically on what the Ghanaian people expect.
And do what exactly, and cede power to the NPP,
and allow
to the
the
NDC.
right thing to be done. Because to the minds of many people out there, the electoral commissioner herself was subjected to the manipulation of the presidency.
And is there evidence to back that claim?
She couldn't have done.
Is there evidence to back that claim?
Clearly, if a result was announced, and then you come back to talk about corrections, I do not think that our laws, my colleague Banda here is a lawyer, and I do not think that our laws permit that you make a declaration, errors are detected, then you come back to correct those errors. I don't think that is the way to go. That has never happened in our democracy before. It is so novel. You know, clearly, this abysmal, you know, behavior that has been exhibited undermines the whole process and the reason for which the ordinary Ghanaian out there is seeing through the simple manipulation which is intended to snatch or snuff the life out of our democracy.
Many thanks for joining us. The Honorable Richard Koshiga is the outgoing NDC MP for the Keta constituency. Benabdel Banda is the MP for Fenso South. He's also Chairman of Parliament's Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee. Honorable, thanks very much for joining us. So how does this get resolved eventually? Your colleagues on the minority side, the NDC, they are firm in their minds that they won the polls and their victory is being stolen. Do you agree?
No, I don't, because there shouldn't be a banter between NDC and the NPP. My friend Kwashiga, when he was speaking, his submissions were full of, or were riddled with allegations that they are gathering evidence. Something that you are gathering, upon which basis, upon what basis are you saying that you've won the elections? And in any case, this is a country of rule of law. If you think that you have evidence, where do you have to go to? You have to go to the court to prove that indeed and in fact, an election was held, a declaration was made by the EC, and that declaration was flawed. So, court, I pray upon you, based on the evidence that I have, which I'm presenting, rule in my favor. In the absence of that, I think that no amount of words can change the declaration made by the EC. And the EC, the Electoral Commission, is an institution that we have entrusted with the power to do ABCD. And according to CI 127, the only person who has the mandate to declare a president in this country is the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. If you think that there is anything erroneous about it, then the best place to go to is to go to court. And he also made an allusion to the fact that when she made the first declaration, she went home and came back and said there was an error.
That point has frequently been made, that you can only declare the results once, and that if you do it the second time, then it's out of place.
Which law says
some of your colleagues have quoted this constitutional instrument.
Which law says that? We are all working with CI 127, and 127 says that the declaration must be done by the chairperson of the EC. But it doesn't also forbid the EC, if the EC honestly has detected an error and comes back and corrects the error. In any case, the correction doesn't still detract from the fact that the president, our president, Nana Addo Dankwa, the president-elect, has won more than 50%.
The NDC disagrees.
More than 50%. Yes, if they disagree, and the president has been duly declared by the EC, then what else is left? There's nothing left apart from, if you think that that declaration was flawed, or the votes were riddled with, as they are claiming, with certain fundamental mistakes, I will urge upon them to proceed to court, as we did after the declaration of the 2012 presidential elections.
Many thanks for joining us. Benabda Banda is the, this is fine, you go ahead, is the MP for Finso South. He's also chairman of Parliament's Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, speaking to us there. Back to you.
Yeah, Gakpo, so we understand the majority leader is also questioning the basis for NDC's claim. What has he been saying?
So I've just been engaging him as well on that. And for Mr. Chairman Sabuntu, we don't have a situation where the NDC actually has the necessary pink sheets in order to come to that determination. He referenced comments that had gone out by the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, as well as the NDC executives, that they are still collating the details and doing an audit of the pink sheet. And based on that, he argues that we are seeing a situation where there is no basis, because they don't even have the tabulation of the results to then say the President Nana Addo Dankwa actually lost the election. But I've also been engaging the majority leader on how Parliament will look like going forward. He is of the opinion that nothing like a hung Parliament will actually exist. He is clear in his mind that the NPP would have the majority. He makes the point that the former MP, although he is aware that he is being engaged not only by the NPP but also by the NDC, will eventually drift to the side of the NPP, and he is very much sure that they would have a very working majority in the next Parliament to be able to get business done without any situation of a hung Parliament existing at any point in time.
Well, we look forward to that and see how that will be unfolding as we get to the 8th Parliament. Thank you very much. Joseph Opoku Gakpo is our man in Parliament. We'll be bringing you more in our subsequent bulletins.